Tragically, my husband lost his first wife from a rapid illness 7 years ago. He had been married to her for a little over a year when she passed. For reference, he and I met 4 years ago. She had been dead just about 3 years then, dated a year, got engaged, and have now been married a little over 2 years. My husband's sisters continue to make very blatant and passive-aggressive comparisons to my face and on social media between me and his first wife. Now, obviously, I never met the first wife, but from what my husband says and what I can put together, she and I have very different personalities. I'm an introvert, she was bubbly. I am left-leaning, she was a conservative Christian. She dressed very girly, I wear jeans and have piercings, but similar values, if that makes sense. I feel like I have been understanding of their grief and the natural comparisons that would be made at the beginning of our relationship. But I have now been with my husband longer than she was. I feel I've earned a little more cred and legitimacy. I am clearly no rebound. The behavior I'm talking about is little comments at family gatherings like, when I don't eat their mother's German chocolate cake because I hate coconut with a passion. That's so sad, Kelly loved Mom's cake. To the new white car I bought. Gosh, brother, I can't believe you guys bought that. Kelly hated white for cars. To tagging my husband in posts about how they miss someone who is irreplaceable. They like to do this particular Facebook post every holiday. Or tagging him in posts about losing your true love. There are so many more examples. I know it might seem like I'm being too sensitive, but it builds up and weighs on me, especially because we have now been together so long. Trust me, there is so much more in their behavior and overall acceptance of me. I've tried befriending my sister-in-laws, finding things in common to bond over, but they just kind of seem to have made this pact to shut me out. I want to just make it clear I am not jealous that my husband loves someone before me. He doesn't contribute to the issue himself in any way. It sucks that his first wife died, but he was a young man when that happened, and I just am getting so sick of being reminded that I'm just filling someone else's spot in my sister-in-law's minds, and I am not filling those shoes. Edit. The question is, will they come around over time? Should I say something to them, or just resign myself to never being accepted by them? Edit. A short development that happened today. Valentine's Day brought this to a head for me. I read all your suggestions that my husband should stick up for me, and you were right. Just a little while ago, one of my sisters-in-law posted a pic to my husband's Facebook that said, "When you believe beyond what your eyes can see, signs from heaven show up to remind you love never dies." Earlier this morning, the other sister posted a country song YouTube video called "You Should Be Here" to her own timeline with the comment, "Thinking of you, brother's name, today. Hope it's not too hard a day for you." I straight up told my husband that stuff like this makes it hard for me to enjoy Valentine's Day with him. I actually teared up a little and told him he really needs to say something because this is very hurtful. It seems intentional, and it's just not cool. I asked him why he has never said anything to them until now, and he said he thinks they are doing it to make the point to him that they haven't forgotten his first wife. Like, they don't want to offend him by seeming to have forgotten her. I told him that even if that is true, and I don't believe it is, they are going about it the wrong way. Well, he texted both of them individually and told them that he and I are having a lovely V-Day. Thanks for thinking of him. But he moved on a long time ago, is very happy, and would appreciate them stopping publicly doing stuff like that, and that whether it's their intention to hurt me or not, it's inappropriate. The older of the two sisters immediately blocked both he and I on Facebook and has not responded to his text. The younger one responded that she wasn't trying to upset anyone and I shouldn't be so insecure. My husband has not responded to her, but will when he collects his thoughts. Thank you all for the input. I'm glad to say he is now involving himself in the drama, and hopefully the sisters will lay off, even if it makes them hate me more. This has quite literally fractured my family. I have an older son from my first marriage who's now 24. I have 2 younger kids from my current marriage who are 21-year-old twins. My divorce occurred right after my son was born. Over the years, my visitation has been primarily summers and holidays since my ex-wife moved to a different state. I have a particular skill set I was very good at, and all three of my kids have expressed interest in it. Unfortunately, I have only been able to meaningfully teach it to my younger kids. This was because to make my visitation with my older son more memorable, I would do camping, vacations, etc. I didn't have time to teach him properly. Also, anything I did try to teach him was forgotten and not practiced because he lived in an apartment with his mother. The major issue now is that my younger kids have started a company after high school using this skill. I provided the initial funds and as such have a 33% stake in it. This company has really soared this past year and it's making a lot of money. My older son graduated from college and is doing a job he hates and is not exactly making a lot of money, especially compared to his siblings. Part of this is my fault, because he did ask to take a few years off after high school and maybe have me teach him what I knew, but my wife was battling cancer at the time and I told him I couldn't. And now, I'm not well enough to teach anymore. He is now telling me to include him in this company as an equal partner, that he'll do the finances. This was not received well by his siblings who say they do basically 95% of the work, and that he didn't struggle in the early years to get it running. I'm really at a loss here. I thought of just giving my share of the company to my eldest son, but it does seem unfair to his siblings who started this company in the first place. My oldest has become very bitter about this and has involved my parents. They are taking his side, and now my younger kids are resentful that their grandparents have been turned against them. Our Sunday family lunches are no longer happening, and I'm having to see my oldest for dinner on other days. And every time I see him, I'm getting accused of not treating him fairly. It kills me because I made so many compromises to have him in my life in a meaningful way. He accused me on Saturday of pushing him out of my new family and loving his siblings more. I haven't been able to sleep since. Should I have done all this differently? I know many people have asked about the skill set I mentioned. I just can't be specific because it'll make my younger kids' company identifiable with a quick search. I will say it's nothing mysterious and is a combination of woodworking, metalworking, and some masonry sometimes. It's a niche product and not many people do it. The tools and techniques are unorthodox. I spent a lot of time reflecting yesterday after reading everyone's comments. I have talked to my younger kids, and I explained to them that even if they aren't happy with how their brother approached it, it's clear he feels left out from our family, and it's all our responsibilities to help fix this. They agreed to extend the offer of apprenticeship again to their brother, where he works and learns as a salaried employee. But they've made it clear that no ownership can be transferred until after he's put in at least 3 years of work like they have. I actually think this is generous because they are paying a salary that they don't need to. However, I'm not sure if my oldest will go for this. He is feeling some sort of way about working for his brothers, not with them. I reached out to a teacher in Alaska who I know casually. He might do me a favor and take on an apprentice. I need to scrounge up some money and see if I can send my son there. But again, it's Alaska, and I'm not sure if my son will be receptive. I don't know what else I can offer at this point. My wife is disgusted that we've become that family that is fighting about money. She wants to force the twins to give a stake in the company to their brother, but I really think it's a bad idea. They need to fix their conflict first, or it'll just be a disaster. I don't believe we should be telling our younger kids on how to run their company. I'll be meeting my son this Friday for dinner. I hope he'll be okay with at least one of the options. I also need to talk to my parents to stop creating more issues. They've always enjoyed chaos and like pitting people against each other. It's not helping. I offered the 2 best options to my oldest, which a few days after I posted during dinner. The first option was work as a salaried employee for his brother's company for a few years while he learns the trade, and then buy in for a partnership in the company. I would have sold him my share for a very fair price. This was the only way his brothers were willing to join the company. He rejected it immediately. The second option was an apprenticeship I set up with someone I knew and respected. Unfortunately, this was based in Alaska, and he rejected that as well, which I expected. He then said a lot of hurtful things about me and his mother. I gave in and said I would teach him. Some people did suggest this on the first post. He took all of my tools and materials the next few days and moved it to his garage. I've been going over to his garage workshop every day for a few hours to try to teach him. It's not going that great, I have to admit. I'm physically not in the best shape and he's getting frustrated by it. I'm just going to keep going with this and hopefully it'll get easier as he learns more. I'll try to make this simple. My girlfriend, 30 female, and I, 36 male, have 100% custody of my 5-year-old daughter. My daughter's biological mother moved out of state to pursue a career opportunity. A little background. My ex-wife left me over 2 years ago for someone else and hasn't been much of a mother since. My current girlfriend has effectively raised my daughter with me for a little over a year and has done a tremendous job as a stepmother. My ex-wife moved just a couple of weeks ago, and now my girlfriend and I have 100% custody. As a parting gift, my ex made a scrapbook for my daughter with pictures of my daughter and her mother, and lastly, my daughter, my ex, and myself. There were 2 pictures total that included the 3 of us. I noticed my girlfriend tearing something apart and my daughter yelling her to stop. She worked so hard on that. Not knowing what was going on, I stepped over to see what the commotion was all about. This was the first time I had seen or heard of the scrapbook and was unaware of its contents until I witnessed my girlfriend removing all of the pictures that displayed my ex-wife. She was even throwing away pictures that didn't include me and were of my daughter and her mother only. I abruptly put an end to the destruction and have been on no speaking terms with my girlfriend since the event, 8 hours ago. I have tried to explain that I don't want the pictures for myself, and have even stored them in the garage in a box that I keep with all of my daughter's report cards and neat school projects and art. However, my girlfriend thinks we should destroy all evidence of my ex, even though her current leave of absence is not guaranteed to be permanent. She was raised similarly, and I asked her how she would feel if her stepmother threw away all pictures of her biological mother just because she moved. She agreed that she would be upset, but argued that it doesn't matter now that she is the one raising my daughter. I'm so lost as to why she thinks this is okay. It's like jealousy and ego have gotten the better of her and her true self has disappeared. I'm so dumbfounded by it that I'm not certain that I'm not seeing this clearly. Am I missing something? Am I the a-hole? First, the good. When I returned home, I searched the box that I had hid the pictures in scrapbook to find that they were gone. Upon inquiring of their whereabouts, I was directed under the bathroom sink. There, I found the remains of the scrapbook, mostly put back together. However, I realized that at least 2 pages were missing. I also noticed that a few pictures in question weren't present. Upon questioning, I was directed to a trash can, where I found a couple of torn pictures. Still, to my dismay, I found that the contents of the ravaged scrapbook were still incomplete. Further investigation revealed another stash of torn pictures. Finally, I have attained all the pictures. 2 more days passed and I demanded that she apologize to my daughter for destroying the scrapbook, which now resides in my daughter's room. Apology accepted. Now comes the hard part. I won't bother lying to you all, for I fear you will see right through me. I considered trying to work through it. I thought perhaps her efforts to repair the scrapbook are worthy of forgiveness. A year after getting his master's and tirelessly job searching, my husband finally did it, and we're moving. We were so happy we cried, and we couldn't wait to tell everyone. I knew better than to think my sister would be at all thrilled. I knew that this news would ruin her day because it means I'm moving away. I did not at all expect what came next. She called me absolutely sobbing and said she didn't understand why I wanted this so bad. She said that she was hurt that I would willingly move away from her and sacrifice my relationship with her 2 kids. For context, I lived with my sister while I went to college, before she had kids, and I endured both her pregnancies and was there every day of both of her kids' lives for their first 3 years. When I got married and was going to move 45 minutes away, she did the same thing. Sobbed, was worried about my relationship with the kids, and I felt I was being realistic when I said I'll still have a relationship with them. But she said, "It'll be like you're dead." I have made semi-frequent visits over the last 2 years. Meanwhile, my family still has to ask for my address. Anyway, I was very level-headed when she was on the other end crying yesterday about my husband's new job and our inevitable move. She said she didn't understand how I could be so cold. She also said that other people were obviously upset, but none of them will be honest with me like her. Then she told me that she clearly cares about me more than anyone else and said I was being naive if I couldn't understand this soul-crushing loss. She is also going through a divorce and is very vulnerable. There were so many things playing into this I didn't know how to react, but I'm not going to fake being upset. This move has been a daydream for a long time. Maybe instead of playing the victim when we achieve our career goals, I don't know, support us. My sister is so concerned about my relationship with her two not-so-well-behaved kids that she'd rather cry to me about it than put those short-sighted emotions aside to see the big picture. She's not the only one in my family less than supportive. The truth is, moving away is a bonus because of their lack of support and toxic view of family. It's not my fault she had kids and is now a single parent, and I'm not going to put mine and my husband's life on hold for it either, because once I start, where does it end? If I sacrifice my future now, when will I get another chance? I'm tired of the mentality that I have to choose between family and career, and you know what? Those aren't my kids. I'll tell them where I'm going. I'll FaceTime them when I get there. I'll visit on holidays, but no, I am not upset that my husband got the job we've been waiting a year for because it means I have to move. I might be the youngest in my family, but apparently I'm the only one mature enough to realize that I have no obligation to kids and divorces that aren't mine. I'm really upset with my wife after what she's done, but every one of our friends' family thinks she is right to do what she did. So I'm posting here to get an unbiased perspective. I've been married to my current wife for 3 years. We dated for 2 years before getting married. Before meeting my current wife, I had been married to my high school sweetheart for well over a decade. My late wife passed away very young from breast cancer. It was an extremely traumatic experience for me, and I didn't start dating again for several years after that. I never had any real relationships before her. Parents were both physically abusive, siblings absent, so it was especially hard on me. I've always had a memento from my previous marriage. It was a greenstone Panamu Toki pendant. She gave it to me for our first wedding anniversary. Before meeting my current wife, I would wear it almost 24/7, going through several strings. When I met my current wife, she wasn't comfortable with me wearing it since it was from my late wife. So I started wearing it less often, but made it clear to her it's an extremely important item to me. For a time, she accepted that, until recently. Over the past few months, whenever we had a minor disagreement, she'd bring up my pendant and then turn it into a shouting match, demanding I get rid of it. I can understand why she might feel uncomfortable with me having it, but I had stopped wearing it at this point. It stays in my drawer 24/7. Why can't she accept it's very important to me? Long story short, when I was at work last week, she grabbed the pendant and threw it in a nearby river. When I found out, I broke down because it was literally the last thing I had to remember my late wife. I don't know, maybe I'm not respecting her feelings and holding on to the past. Edit. When I say ex-wife, I mean late wife. We never divorced.